Gravel riding. Lots of people love it, but the entry price has historically been slightly higher than budget mountain biking. But there's a new gravel bike in town, and it's from a brand many viewers of this channel know and love, Schwinn. Meet the Horicon Sport, a bike built from the ground up to handle the unique needs of gravel riders with a bonus, fixing the one thing that has always steered me away from gravel riding, and that would be drop bars. The Horicon is among the few that go with the setup more familiar to me, flat bars. My interests are piqued, so let's dig right in with these bars. First observations, they're mountain bike wide, 720 millimeters, and also a mountain bike diameter, 31.8. Bar complements, let's start with the grips, rubber slip-on grips. These are Schwinn branded, though I call these Schwinns because they're branded twice. And sitting right in the middle of these flat bars is the stem. By the way, the bars are steel, the stem is alloy, aluminum alloy. And this stem, it's not long, it's not short, it's around 70 millimeters. It's glossy black, that catches my eye. Also catching my eye, the torque values. I always love it when stems have those. We're looking good so far, but there's more up top. And it has power, or at least that's what the brakes say. Plastic housings with alloy levers. The brakes are mechanical, not hydraulic. They're also disc brakes. We'll look at those closer in just a second. Let's go to the last bar complement, one of the most important things on the bike, the trigger shifter, a dual thumb lever type, with a view window that tells us this is an 8-speed. The brand L2, the model A3, a matching set, we'll know soon. Moving down, we see that the head tube is a straight steerer type. The head tube badging screened on or painted Schwinn logo. Running through that head tube is the fork. The bike comes with a rigid steel fork. It has a fender hole mount and bosses. Lots of them on both sides, options galore there. The front wheel mounts to the fork via a quick release lever that's on this side for a reason we'll talk about in a different video. The wheels themselves, black spokes, double wall alloy rims, and a Schrader valve with a racing stripe. The tires wrapped around all this, and Nova branded, the size 700 by 45C or 28 inch. Tire tread, this. Hopefully designed to glide over and or cut through gravel, but also be street friendly. We'll definitely be finding out soon. A quick look at the rear tire room. There is some, top and bottom. Though I do think these factory tires are just about right, size-wise. Things are looking good so far, but what about the drivetrain? Is it as good? Well, it starts with Schwinn branded plastic pedals with reflectors for road visibility. Crank arms, alloy, 170 millimeters. The chain ring, there's one, and it's a 42 tooth. And there's this, a chain guide-ish. One note at the front half of this drivetrain is the bottom bracket, and they tried to save a few pennies here. It'll work, but it is basic. And by the way, this bottom bracket width, 68 millimeter. So what do we have going on at the back of the drivetrain? Well, there is a derailleur that is an L2 A3, just like the shifter. L2 is an established brand in the budget cycling scene and has its fans. And this A3 derailleur is shifting through an 8-speed, well, not a cassette, it's a freewheel. It's a pro rush. When I see that name, a tip off that it's not a cassette, but 13 to 40 tooth is a decent range. So 42 tooth to a 13 to 40, that should get the bike going pretty well. What about the rear spacing? People always ask about that. This is a gravel bike, 135 millimeters. The bike is fender and rack friendly up front and at the rear. It's built in at the rear, it's part of the frame. And let's talk about this frame. 6061 aluminum, the color, they call this fog. It's a beautiful frame design. I like this. The slightly oversized round down tube and the ever so slight arch and the taper of the top tube, a la the latest Axum bikes, at least this top tube. The graphics are subtle yet noticeable, even the hidden one that I'll be coming back to. This is a good looking frame and I see the telltale signs of mountain bike DNA in this design, but also undeniably a gravel bike. Sizing. This is clearly labeled as a medium, but on the current Walmart listings, I only see one bike, and it's 17.5 inches, which is this one. If there are other sizes, I'll link them down in the description, but for me, this medium 17.5 inch is just right. And this frame, just like the fork, is packed with mount points. We have the double triple up front, so that's 1, 2, and then there's this set on the top of the top tube. Below that, on the top of the down tube, another triple. Then on the seat tube, a double, and then we drop down below the down tube, and there's another double there. Look at that. That's 6 sets of bosses, 3 triples and 3 doubles. Ooh, balance. Clearly a design built to be adaptable and with long journeys in mind. Other frame highlights, like cable routing modern, meaning a hybrid internal-external cable routing system. The shifter goes internal, all the other easily upgradable external routing. For instance, if I wanted to convert this to hydraulic disc brakes, there's an easy path. And there's this unused set of mount points on the other side. This is built-in accommodation for a dropper post. So dropper ready if you want to bring your own. The factory seat post is held in via a quick release clamp, and the post itself is aluminum. A little curious because the bars are steel, but this is aluminum. The size 27.2. That's the diameter. The length, well, it's not especially long, and that's for a reason. On the inside of the seat tube, we can see a bolt coming through. There are actually 2 of them, and that's from those cage bosses we saw earlier. This is going to limit the depth a seat post can go and also a dropper post, so factor that in. And here's what I'm talking about. It can only go so far down, which also means it can only go so far up. Here is the highest point. I'll put the measurements on your screen. And this is as low as it will go, and you can see that's not all the way down. Nothing fancy about the saddle rail design, but the seat itself, it's the trendy glossy on matte black color scheme with the white Schwinn logo, a fog Schwinn logo that matches the bike's frame. Also, if I haven't mentioned it up to this point, the front wheel is quick release and the rear also quick release. Disc brakes, front and rear too, they're generic mechanical disc brakes. The rotor's 160, and I spent way too much time trying to frame a shot through that Schwinn rotor star, and this is the best I could get. And this is technically also a feature, a center-mounted kickstand. And that's the Schwinn Horicon Sport. All the component details at least. Good, bad, only a ride is going to tell us that. Now, what you don't know is that all the shots that you've seen up to this point is after my first 5-mile ride on the bike. So I need to catch you up to everything I know up to this point. First is that out of the box, aside from getting the front wheel and the handlebars installed and giving everything a tightness check, adjustments weren't far off, at least for me. The brakes, they both got a slight barrel adjustment, and the same with the shifting. It took me about a minute riding in circles in a parking lot, only working the barrel adjusters to get every gear to drop perfectly in place. Let's get back to the gravel where I'm clocking in the second half of my first day of riding, which added up to 10 miles. First impressions, obviously the bars, we're going to be talking about those, but let's go through some of the basics. Once dialed in, I have no problem working through all 8 speeds on gravel. Gear range. High gear gets me a usable top speed of 19 miles per hour on flat gravel. That's fast enough for me. Low gear, and this is where I had concerns with that large front chain ring, but for the roads that I'm on, I'm having no problem climbing the hills. Now these are admittedly longer slow climbs rather than steep, but gravel, you really don't run into super steep, at least I don't locally. Controllability, and this is where the flat bars really start to creep in to be an advantage for me, preferring flat bars. Low speed maneuverability and crawling without losing balance. This is something I feel I can do way better on this bike than a can of gravel bike with drop bars. And keep in mind that I'm rolling over gravels here that are shifting under my tires, and I'm having no control problems. And these tires are doing a really good job of rolling over or cutting through or whatever gravel tires do on gravel. These are doing exceptionally well. Pair all that with these flat bars, and that means mile after mile after mile, 10 total miles, just what I filmed while I was making this review. And I've ridden it 3 times since then, at least at the point I've edited this video. And here's the thing, I've never been especially sold on gravel biking, but as I mentioned, every gravel bike up to this point has had drop bars. But riding these flat bars is for me so much better, and people always say drop bars are good because of the multiple positions, but I can switch it up too. I just went from regular grips to what I call thumbs down, using the fingers on the grips. And how about this? I call this the boxer. And how about the bottle cap? I just grab the ends of the bars. Perfectly comfortable, but a different position. Then of course the change up, one hand in one position, one in another. And because these are country roads, the wave. But it's not just gravel back roads for this bike. A transition to civilization, and it's equally at home. And personally, while this bike is great on gravel, I prefer the lack of dust every time a car goes by. And fortunately, on city streets, these tires are great too. They're built to cut through gravel, but they manage to have good traction on pavement. And when on streets, it's also easier to pedal. That means the mile after mile after mile of street riding, which this bike is equally capable of doing, can be done at 2 miles per hour faster on the top speed. 21 miles per hour I can reach with this bike on asphalt. Now, not here because I'm pedaling uphill. And by the way, what is it about the county roads here? Uphill in both directions. I think I found the place that grandparents always talk about. They walked barefooted to school, uphill in both directions. Apparently they lived out here. So city streets or gravel, this bike equally capable and more comfortable for me with the flat bars. Let me summarize for you my opinions on this Horicon Sport after a few rides. In Schwinn, they've been rolling out bike after bike that gives us affordable entry points into whatever type of cycling we want to do. In this case, gravel. The high points. The gear range. It is usable, yes, I've ridden bikes with better gear ranges, but this is not bad, especially on gravel. And this derailleur, the shifting of this bike, zero trouble. You know, gravel can be jolty, you're riding over sometimes bigger rocks. And so far, I'm guessing 27, 28 miles in with this, not a single drop or chain jump. So along with the derailleur, maybe a little stubby here is doing something. The mechanical disc brakes, they're enough. Nothing superb, but they do get me stopped. And this bike seems to be built with brake upgrades in mind. And that'll be easy thanks to the external routing. And I like this fog color. In person, it looks even better. Expandability, built-in, dropper friendly, always a bonus. This frame. Schwinn's frame quality among the best of all budget bikes in my opinion, and the style's here too. It's modern and looks more expensive than the bike is. Dub bars, the flat bars, the perfect topping, the crown really, for this bike. A gravel bike that appeals to my mountain bike nature, all possible because of these. Mount points galore, definitely on the good list. This bike is made to haul, made for long journeys, and it's definitely equipped that way. But I'm going to save these for another video where I put them to use and maybe show off a few upgrades. And the price. At the time I'm making this video, it's pretty good. I'll put it in the title and I'll try to keep it updated. So that's all the good. That's not to say there's not a few things that I can nitpick. Like the gearing, well not specifically the gearing, but the gears at the back here. Having a freewheel in 2025, I don't know, it's just somewhat underwhelming, and they definitely could have used a better bottom bracket. This is very entry level. And I don't normally pick on saddles because these are changeable like grips or pedals. Everybody has a preference, but this one is so bad. It's like those cheapest entry level saddles. After just a few miles, it feels like a brick. And that's really the only thing that keeps me from racking up even more miles on this bike, and it's something I will be changing. But in a way, I guess that spins us right back to the positive, because all in all, there's way more good with this bike than there are any potential shortcomings, and that says a lot. What about the price, though? Well, that's where you come in, because only you can tell if this is a good value for you. I'll put a link down in the description of this bike on the Walmart website, but I also noticed it's in my local store, so you might even be able to head down to your local store and check it out. And if you do, let me know what you think. Personally, I prefer to order them because I like to put them together myself, but to each their own. We're not done just yet though, because there's one last thing I want to point your attention to on this bike. I alluded to it earlier when I was talking about the graphics, and I put a little prompt on your screen saying there was something else. And it's right down here, located in this area, almost completely hidden. There's this graphic of a bird. Now, I don't know much about birds, but I'm probably getting to that point in life where I'll get distracted and go, is that the song of a yellow-breasted chat? So back to this bird, I saw this on the frame, and by complete coincidence, I was searching on the internet how to pronounce the name Horicon, and I came across a link for a Horicon Marsh Bird Festival, which led me to looking up marsh birds. And I look at them, and they all have short tail feathers, they have a long neck, a pointy beak. I'm pretty sure this is a marsh bird. And that means, if I'm correct, and I think I am, but maybe Schwinn can comment and let us know, if they took the name Horicon from the city in Wisconsin that's just about an hour away from Madison, the headquarters of Schwinn, and integrated an image of one of the things Horicon is known for into the bike with its name. If so, that's pretty awesome. If not, I'd be curious what the bird means. I thought it was only fitting to end with this, a hidden graphic, maybe a hidden nod to neighboring communities in Wisconsin. Comment below with your thoughts on this Schwinn Horicon Sport. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.